Hello and welcome back to the Integration Station. I'm naturally Ashley, your host. It's just me today. Sometimes this happens where I'll be booking in a lot of shows at once and we'll be doing really good pre-recording. And then other times it's like, things just come up. Right now it's the holiday season. So people are getting sick with the weather changing, getting busier, more in touch with their family, and then, dramas happen. So things are just coming up. But at the same time, it's actually a great time for us to spend some one-on-one time together because there's been so much new and good happening with elemental growth and also some of the other brands that we've been partnering with, all kinds of different things. So I'm excited to not only dive into what's new and good, but also dive into some of the questions you guys have been sharing with me because I really do enjoy kind of like the Q&A sessions when you're doing that in integration circles, because then you're gaining benefit from everybody else's, I guess, courage to ask the question. And we can all take little bits and pieces from each. So some of the common questions that I've been getting, I wrote down so we can do a bit of a Q&A too. Of course, I am going to make other content around these things, but it'll just be a nice way to bring us all together with some of these more common questions that have been coming up lately. So what I'm going to do here to start is open up our integration circle or session today with some smudge. So I've just got a charcoal block here. Trusty old torch. Feel like a badass at this. When sparks fly. All right. And we got some sandalwood. We got to get those good vibes going. So let's cleanse our space. I do like this sandalwood. Let's see if I can get on. I don't know what incense this is, but I'm loving it. It's some kind of mix or blend that was left here, I think, by Homa maybe, or Michael. But I absolutely love it. So I'm going to sprinkle some of that on with the sandalwood too. Yeah, let's infuse this space. It's time to manifest some good shit in abundance. I've been saying that a lot lately. Like to share that affirmation with you guys as well. It's so sweet. It's so wonderful and warming. Oh, wow. Okay. Too bad, we can't share the senses through. Like, I guess we get our sight, we get our hearing, but we're not completely plugged into virtual reality where we get to share our tastes and our smells yet. All right. So what was next? Maybe a trusty old doobie, but I don't have a doobie, so I'm going to spark with the remainder of the doobie I had earlier. So one of my goals is to bring more sacredity and ceremony back to this wonderful plant. I love cannabis. I love it in my peace pipe. I love it in a bong. I love it in a joint. I love it when it's, in one of these trusty old things. I'm actually understanding the hash medicine, the concentrates. I always had this belief system around it where because I see it with cocaine and with sugar and like these other things and like the poppies, the opium, these things are causing big issues, but the plant itself is great. And, when I see things get legalized, I was never for legalization of cannabis. Decriminalization, sure. Free nature, free the people, like, let's do this, make it happen. But I don't want to bring the legalities into it because it's causing a lot of drama. And I kind of knew through history that this would happen. And also, with that kind of drama comes money drama, comes corruption, and even more drama. So because of what happened with tobacco and the sacredity of that wonderful plant, and also with poppies and with coca and cacao and coffee and all of these other things, I really wanted the sacredity of cannabis to stay. And I know I'm using this as a microphone right now instead of smoking it like my mama would say, but I find that one of the best ways to work with this plant is to set an intention when you're taking it. And mine is to be present with you guys, get through what we got to get through today that's on this list. And so it's going to help me focus in and do just that. And I think Joe Rogan made a good point where, it can enhance what you're already doing. So you want to set that intention, because if you don't, you're going to fall into your default mode network, and then you'll be doing 4 hours of whatever that default is. So if it's being angry, you'll be angry. If it's being sad, you'll be sad. If it's being creative, you'll be creative. If it's being productive, you'll be productive. If it's sitting on the couch eating hamburgers and being a loser all day, then that's what you're going to do. If it's enjoying some like avocado and tomatoes and cucumbers, you're going to be doing that. So it's about that intention, putting it out there, what it is you do want, not what you don't want. So that's one of the things with this plant. But also I've been learning this medicine of hash. So I had this belief that if we were taking down and concentrating or adding chemicals to it or growing it with chemicals or any of these kinds of things, that we would be disrupting the plant, and not using the whole plant, that would be disrupting what we gain out of it and maybe become more of a hinder to our systems versus a nutritional supplement, which I believe that's why we have the endocrine system, and that we've actually been deprived of this nutritional supplement for some time. But here's the thing. When we're taking a plant like cannabis, washing the whole plant, getting like this hash or wax or melt or like whatever you guys want to make out of it, these different kinds of concentrates, when you're still able to also use the other parts of the plant and get them in your diet too, I think that you still get that whole effect. I think that's really beautiful. Now, I was also, when I started doing dabs, I was really humbled by the experience, and I had to get down on my knees and like pray to Mama Ganja that she was going to guide me through this. And this was one of the messages that came through, is to bring the sacredity back to it, have that reverence, because it's it can be used for good, it can be used for evil. It's that intention, that ceremony, it makes a difference. If you want it for medicine, you say like, heal me, it's going to do that. You want to cure your cancer, it can do that, but it can also humble you in other ways. And if you're, aren't into the self-improvement, then it may also hinder you and cycle you back into the other default mode network, or strengthen that default mode network, or strengthen that ego, those things that you don't want. And this kind of toxic spirituality and like that's happening in the medicine world, I think it's happening in a bunch of different medicines and things like that right now too. But there's different spirits to each of the medicines, and getting to know them through the sacred way and through intention and working with the whole, I think really helps. So even though we've been doing hash, which is a type of concentrate, we also used the leaves and other parts of the plant for making like an infusion with cannabis oil, but then gets used in our foods and all kinds of different things that we get to use in and on our body. So we're getting it in all of these kinds of different ways. So still using the whole, even though it's also separate, and it's giving me a new understanding and respect for the plant. And it's also a way of giving back. And yeah, it's been a really cool experience. There's always still so much to learn. Okay, I'm done using this as a microphone. Mom, I know you're not even on here, but you're gonna watch it. Probably laugh. Okay, so Let's talk about what else has been new and good. We've been here on the Connecticut farm. I know were saying in our newsletters and to our friends and family that Finn and I were going to go down to Florida. We did the West Coast and then the East Coast, and we were thinking of going south. Well, plans changed a little bit when we got to Connecticut over the Halloween months. So we were faced with like some ticks and some other issues where some people have passed away as well. We've been going through a lot of that this year. And so I really had this call to spend more time with family, just with the grieving process. And so still being pretty close, we actually turned back around, went up there, came back here, found solace for a bit. We're going to go south and do a little bit of change. It'll be Alabama and Tennessee instead of Florida, but we'll still, who knows where we'll end up and when. It's still always on the list. It's just, I guess divine intervention happens, and you really got to believe when you're working with these medicines and seeing magic manifest in this real world that synchronicity is real. We really do end up in the right place with the right people at the right time for a really good reason. So I'm excited to see what actually manifests through this time, and I'm following this guidance, whatever it is. Another thing too that we're doing is our network with elemental growth has been such a blessing. It was just something that the mushrooms told me to do one day when all the censorship was happening. I was getting it a lot with elemental growth, and that made it really hard to connect with people and feel connected, or to feel like any of my work was valued or my time or anything. And that's the worst when time and money like feels really unvalued. And I was putting my time in, which is worth money, for something that wasn't getting anywhere at the time. So I was like, how about I sit with the medicine and find out what it has to share with me? And the mushroom said, you got to find a decentralized platform to share not only what I was doing, my own like individual thing in the integration space, but also bring together other people for collaboration. So I found some really amazing mycologists I love connecting with that were in kind of the same issues, people who were cultivating other medicines like cannabis and so on. There's all kinds of different psychedelics and psychedelic gardens that are out there, and that have become part of our network. And also retreats, and also coaches, and just all kinds of different specialities that are there, different communities. There's even churches. Like, it's just been so great. But in this, there's been a lot of fears about growing it, fears about sharing it, like just all these things, because one of the reasons why we went to decentralize is because of censorship and also legality. So one of the reasons why things get censored is because it's not always legal in the areas that we're talking about these things, which is why it's so important to come together as community, because there's like a lot of closeted psychonauts out there. And I love that I can get to one-on-one connect with so many people each day, each week, each month, each year since 2017 when I started Elemental Growth. But it's also comes with a set of fears, and not everybody wants to connect with other people. Not everybody even trusts me being in the industry as long as I have. So so protecting everybody's privacy has been super important, which is like also kept it kind of small. But I want to give everybody an opportunity, if they want to, help elemental growth grow in other areas which don't need that same kind of protection, and can expand freely in this time and deserve to at that, because reaching more people is what's helping everybody grow and heal and be successful in growing and healing other people too. So we're looking for people who want to sponsor things like this show, which is also airing on Psychonauts TV, sponsor some of our other work, like growing different medicines, hosting ceremonies, helping people through coaching and ceremonies and growing that can't always afford it, and just all around like keeping bills paid and things going, because oftentimes I'm living on the road and staying very minimal in my things, but I understand the value in growing and expanding and allowing. And it's been a consistent message, as hard as it is for me to make that change inside of my mindset and my lifestyle. It's also, I think, where the most benefit is going to come for the collective. So we're looking for people who are also growing and expanding, who are entrepreneurs, who aren't scared of the legalities because maybe things are legal in your area and you are already expanding, or you just really don't care because you're, aligned with that passion and purpose and riding that wave right now. So if you guys want to help sponsor some of this work or work in collaboration together, please reach out to me. We have an entire team that's helping make all this happen right now. So we do have steps and protocols to make it mutually beneficial for all parties concerned. And I'm really excited for what this New Year's got to come for that. And I'm also going to be sharing a lot of you who are open to it and who have been really supporting us and helping paying the bills, like Judy, the Cacao Goddess, and IIN, everybody who's there that, has enrolled and taken those steps, because it's all that keeps it keeps me being able to create content, share what it is that I'm doing with, the people who need the medicine, the support in their integration, and having those kinds of connections to find the retreats that are in their area, find the medicine that's in their area, find people that they can know, like, and trust that are going to guide them through it, because they're people who have also stumbled across this medicine for the same kind of reasons, like using it as medicine to help with mental health, to help get off of drugs and alcohol and pharmaceuticals and all kinds of things that they were ready to grow out of. So I wanted to share some of that that's new and good. Also, on the website, there are tons of different articles that are available for free. All of my books have been taken off of Amazon. That was a dispute between myself and them that happened, but I just really don't like drama, and I don't have the time to email back and forth, and I haven't had the time to get everything back up there the way that they want it for their guidelines. So everything right now is just free on the website. So go get the books, go get the articles, go watch all of the shows on Psychonauts and on Pace Radio and CBD TV. Go, get involved in the network of, get on one of the clarity calls so that we can start working with each other, in either collaboration or for maybe you're one of those that are just like getting new and you want the medicine from somebody that you can trust, and you want, support with the preparation or the integration or seeking a retreat in your area. These are the kinds of things that you're going to find over there, and it's always growing and updating and changing. There's also as soon as you signed up for a clarity call, you also get on a list which sends out the newsletters for the full moon, which always has some really good manifestation guidance and stuff for meditations. Also, the newest shows and newest articles that come out. That way you don't miss anything and always, get the up-to-date things that are going on, which includes other members of the community that you're welcome to reach out to that are open to talking about these things and really want to share their own wisdoms with you. So let's get into the Q&A stuff that we've got going on here. All right. So one of the ones, like mental health is all, like there's so many things here, like as I'm reading it. These were like the most common ones, and it's still quite a lot of stuff. I broke it down, but it's also kind of common. So, I could break up anxiety, depression, like relaxing, nervous system, all of that, the gut, the brain, all of that, or we could just make everything as simple as can be and bring it all together. So it really comes down to like the basics of life. What do plants need? Plants need proper nutrients. They don't need those chemical nutrients, not just like we don't need all of the supplements. This being said, if you're not getting your nutrients from food, you do want to get it from supplements. You especially want to get it from really good quality supplements. And it's the same for growing plants or any kind of medicine or food, which is medicine too. It's also that the sunlight's needed, and that soil, that diversity, us getting our feet in the ground, getting grounded, touching a tree, touching earth, spending that time walking in nature, breathing it in. This is another thing, is that breath work is needed. So there's a few different methods that you could, try for breathing. There is also different yoga practices for breathing. There are tons of professionals out there that'll talk to you about this, tons of books and articles and everything. You can get in as deep as you want, but the most important thing is just to breathe. Okay, that's all you want to do. You want to breathe and have that focus be on the breath, not on any of the thoughts that are going through. You literally want to breathe them away. It's not that just a new age cliche, inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit. That's, become a really popular saying or affirmation mantra for a reason. That's what we want to do, because most of what's going on in our mind is fear, fantasized evidence that appears real. And that disassociates us, disconnects us from real life, from where we are right now. That creates a dissonance between where we are and where we want to be. It creates a dissonance between our fantasy and our reality, and things get really distorted. And that's not your fault. This cultural programming that's made this happening. This is conditioning, and it has taken my studies in positive psychology, which got shoved down my throat in so many different modalities. And I was really starting to think, oh my God, what's wrong with me that I'm not getting this, or that I'm still miserable, or that I'm still suffering with mental health, or this or that. Like, why is this still so hard? And I even found that, a lot of people were coming to me thinking that I was making it look easy, or and so it became like this kind of toxic positivity. So I went down the rabbit hole into dark psychology, and it took studying both and having that duality that I was able to figure a lot of this stuff out. That's another benefit of just having that Libra mind, and turning those what were once mental health disabilities into now capabilities, into even superpowers. I found a way to turn the handicap into an asset, which is an old school method to take control of your mind. So it is a gut brain connection, but there's a falsehood that the problem is with the brain. It's not that it's a chemical imbalance. There's no proven method to find that chemical imbalance. They're not testing for chemical imbalance. They're sitting you down in a therapist's office and going through their process that they're taught, and their board and their teachers is all funded by big pharma, which is to push a lot of these medications, which come with a lot of other side effects. Some of those side effects can even make you more mentally unwell. It can even make addicts more addicted, can have worse withdrawals than a lot of the street drugs and even alcohol and other things that are out there. So there's a lot to consider, and why it's so important to come back to these natural ways and to take back that mind. Because the problem isn't with a chemical imbalance. The problem is that we're not in control of our minds. The problem is that our minds and our bodies have been hijacked. And it doesn't start with the mind, even though the mind is where we have to start taking control and taking our power back. I love Terrence McKenna and all of his speeches on taking your power back, taking back your mind. If you guys want to Google search that or YouTube it, just get inspired and stay inspired through that kind of stuff. And so that's the first step. We want to take back our power, but the first step where the problem started, that part is in the gut. That is so deep in our gut that's at a cellular level, because we are what we eat, and the food that we consume stays in our body for 7 years, actually 7 generations. So it's partially programming in our gut and ourselves from ancestral stuff that is our job to correct for the next generations, but it's also what we have to take responsibility for in our own lives currently now, because the food that we're eating is going to be in us for the next 7 years. So our getting over a mental health challenge isn't about taking a pill where you're going to feel better in 2 weeks. This is a 7-year commitment with your diet, your mindset mindset, and your environment you're setting. So this is all of it. And it's all important, because your environment is your body. So your set and setting, you guys getting it? All right. Oh man. My whole life was about food and natural alternatives since I was a little kid. Spent all my time outside. When I was in high school and everybody's wearing makeup and stuff, I was my mom got into computers. Even being Native American, she had that mind where she was on top of so many things. She was a VA before VA was a thing. She was teaching computers in schools before we had internet in our hometown, because we lived in such a small village. One of the reasons why she was in town at the school, so she could get all of that. So what I would do, having the tech, once we got dial up and stuff, is I'd find who's making recipes for homemade makeup. Not because I couldn't go get it, because I was working really young and I could make money young. She also taught me those things. But because I wanted to know the most natural way. How could I do it from food? How could I do it from what I had in a sustainable way? How could I work with what I had? Because I knew that I was surrounded by so much that I didn't even know. I love the fact that you can sit in grass when you have that kind of mindset and be write pages of different kinds of plants that you see, the different diversity, just by sitting in one little small spot. So I understood that kind of abundance, and I had that mindset to want to do things a natural way. So when it came to foods and medicines and all that, I didn't want to go to a store and do that. I wanted to do it myself. I saw value in home cooking. I went to school the first time for hospitality and tourism. I learned from some of the best chefs in Canada. Even though I was bartending, I still had a lot of respect and reverence for people who were working in the kitchen, and I had a love for the food. So I learned, and I'd listen, and I'd take all that home, and I'd throw parties at home and cook for everybody all kinds of different things, and try to cater to all their specific needs, and have a diversity. And this is what we need inside of ourselves now. And this is what we need to see more of in people. And what I hope in sharing this is inspiring you guys to do is to find the diversity that's around you, to start with where you are and what you have, to understand that it's about, like the soil, we need a diversity in our gut, because that gut is where happiness comes from. And it takes a whole bunch of stuff to alchemize happiness inside of ourselves. And not only that, happiness is a habit. So this is where we shoot up the work that we're doing in our gut, and through nourishing our bodies and pushing it up through our nervous system into our heads. And now getting into more of that mindset. What are the things that you're now consuming? How can you change that mindset just so that you're consuming more positive music, more positive shows more positive environment in what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're speaking. Okay, so this is like the shoot up, but we have to start in that gut. And here's the problem with our culture today too, is that it's keeping us all in that lower frequency, and our guts are so disturbed by the environment, by the generational trauma. No matter what color you are, if you bleed red, chances are there's generational trauma there, because we've all had it. This, this is a war on us, but also in that, hurt people. So there's also, we're warring against each other, we're warring against the animals, we're warring against our food, against our land, against our water, against our air, against everything. There's necessity, those basics that we need to have the ability to sleep, and the ability to relax, and the ability to turn anxiety, depression, OCD, addiction into superpowers. All of this stuff is possible, but it takes time. And if you've been disrupting yourself for, many years, it's going to take many years to get this back. So you may need the pills for a little while. Maybe that's part of the 7-year plan. But there is also going to be the time when you have to wean off of them, because pills, especially the pharmaceutical ones, even if they're serving you for a temporary time, just like any diet, it may serve you for a temporary time. Any supplement, any probiotic may serve you for a temporary time. It comes back to that thing where we need the diversity. It's not going to sustain us forever. It over consumes us, and it starts working against us. Even too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And these pills specifically have their own side effects. But even a good thing it can have side effects if you overconsume it, or if you're sensitive to it, you'll build up a sensitivity. It'll start causing inflammation. So we really have to keep this in check and realize that it's a long-term thing. It's not a Band-Aid solution. It's about thinking long-term. What are all the steps? Who are all the people you need to be in your team? What are all the things that you need to sustain yourself and to develop that habit of happy, and to start actually healing the whole system holistically? I know that that's generically bringing together like specific questions you guys have around anxiety, depression. There's more here, both the gut-brain connection, sleeping, relaxing, the nervous system, aging pains and chronic pains. So some additional things, right? Like, it's going to be, if we're going to come in to some more of these specifics. I should get a pen here so I don't get completely distracted, because in my mind, when I see all these things, I'm like, even though I'm the one who wrote them on the paper, like, it's because I was taking notes. I was reading off the computer, taking bullet points. These are the things I got to talk about. But in my own mind, I see all of this and I want to make it as simple as can be. So I like take it all, and even though I'm looking at like 100 bullet points, I really only see like 3 things, but I know I have to break it up and bring it back together. So if at any time you guys want to get more specific into any of this, or have a personalized roadmap, everything we do at Elemental Growth, everything I do is all donation based. So get on the website, elementalgrowth.org, book in a call, and I'll get you those personalized steps. Maybe it means, I'll be giving you resources to go look up on your own. You might still have some self-guided homework to do. I'm no Band-Aid solution either. You got to do the work, but I can get you those personalized steps, so you at least have a roadmap to, start taking action. But I want to get over like some of these things I can cross off. Okay, so when it comes to sleeping, my mom and I did a whole segment on this that was called Battle Strategies, and there was one that was specific on sleep. And I actually, if this is an issue that you have, I can actually copy and paste a program that I've kind of put together. It's a self-guided thing. There's no charge for it. I'll just send it to you. But there's a couple different videos that I've gone through or been a part of, because it's a topic that I have actually really succeeded in. And I could be talking about this more often. I suffered from nightmares so bad as a kid. I couldn't sleep. I would sleep on a cold floor of a farmhouse and with a cold shower running so that I could sleep, because the sound of the rain was usually the only time that I could, because it would like drown out like whatever else was going on in my head, or like the fears that would stop me from going to sleep. And then I would be woken up by nightmares, or being such a lucid dreamer. And I still suffer with this. One of the reasons why I smoke cannabis is to stop the lucid dreaming. It can be a benefit because dreams are messages and they serve a message, but I'm just a very sensitive being, and the lucid dreams will make me feel like, even though I got to sleep, like I hadn't slept at all. Like I was up all night, just exhausted, because I'm doing so much in that realm. So, my sleep disorder may be different from your sleep disorder, and there's so many different kinds of sleep disorders. I also, got overused sleeping pills for some time when I was coming off of ecstasy, because I was addicted to the methamphetamines that were in it. I was just really overusing it to the point of a harmful addiction, and I then switched that addiction to an addiction with sleeping pills so I could get off of that. And so that I've been dealing with these things, and the sleep still comes up from time to time. But here's what I've learned from it, other than, like my own successes in these areas, which I'd be happy to share with you. But like on a generic realm, working with people in these realms, is that you have to get your circadian rhythm on check. The circadian rhythm means rising and setting with the sun. So when the sun goes out, that's when you not turn on all your lights and all your tech, but when you start lighting a candle and start turning off things, start turning yourself off, start turning other things off, start winding down. You want to be in the horizontal position, laying down, preferably with a candle and a book instead of tech. But if that's where you're at right now, as long as you're laying down, that's still okay. It'll be more helpful for you. But so be in that position by 10 p.m. because our bodies are natural circadian rhythm as human, even though there are some night owls out there and that is needed in humanity. There's always those people who would stay up late to protect the tribe, but you need sleep too. So make sure you're getting it. You're just on a different rhythm. Again, a separate topic for those people. I'm just keeping it really generic here. But you got to be in bed, laying down by 10 p.m. because otherwise your body's going to get into a stress mode and start creating cortisol to keep you up, thinking that you're in danger. So you will inevitably get a second wind between the hours of 10 and 11, and then you would be staying up until midnight or 1 and so on. You don't want to get in that habit. That'll become a default mode network. That also becomes a hypnotic rhythm where, the devil and those negative energies can come in and start saboteuring the success and the stuff that you want to manifest in your life, and saboteuring your health and saboteuring your happiness and dragging you down into those lower energies. So we got to pull all that shit off, start taking care of yourself. That means getting in that position, start winding yourself down when it starts getting dark. Obviously, in the summertime, you're going to be up later around the full moon. A really funny thing that most people don't think of, and I forget to share quite often. And so many people call me up and be like, "Oh, I got insomnia, but it's only maybe a week out of the month, certain days out of the month," or I'll get them to track it and they'll figure out that certain times of the month. But that is a natural thing as well. When it's a full moon, we're up later, we're more magnetic, we're socializing more, we're getting more shit done, we're staying up later. So full moon, summer, These are, again, exceptions. Things change in nature. We're always changing. But there are laws that are also consistent. So it's about tapping into that, and learning about the circadian rhythm really helps with that. The book on my website you want to download for that, and for tips and like the self-guided coaching program for that, is the Be the Change book. And then also I wrote an article on the circadian rhythm that's all about rising and setting with the sun, and getting into specifics about this. So once you guys go through those resources, or reach out to me for the ones that are specific to sleep, then we can have a one-on-one conversation, get you those next steps. So nervous system, I talked a little bit about there when it came to mental health, because it is all very much connected. Oftentimes nervous system issues are coming from trauma issues as well. And then comes the relationship issues like trauma bonding and environment, and the work that we have to do on ourselves and our shadow selves, and with Ho'oponopono, that forgiveness. So there's a lot here, but some basic things around the nervous system, other than understanding that it comes hand in hand with mental health, with trauma, is that mushrooms are one hell of a tool. And it doesn't matter what mushroom you're eating, because they all have their own magical properties. The caution and my disclaimer here is that they're all magical, just some only ones. So you do want to know which ones are poison. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. But, you could be using a lion's mane mushroom, which is a non-psychoactive mushroom, and using that to help with neuropathy, like to help rebuild your nervous system and nervous tissues. People who've had what's that called? Like, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, frostbite, which I have. And so I've been using it to build up my nervous system in this. And it's my favorite mushroom to forage. It comes out my birthday every year. So I always thought of that as like my birthday gift. But I've also grown it in those kits. And I think that there's spores that are coming, so I can do it like in a new way, and really excited. But it's a non-psychoactive, really great mushroom for building up that nervous system. It's great for helping with trauma and helping with mental health, and getting you out of that default mode network, because it builds new brain connections, helps with neuroplasticity, growing your brain cells. So there are tons of mushrooms for this, but also the psychedelic ones. And if you can find blends that have both, that can be really, really good for the nervous system. That said, some people, like my mom, will get headaches from certain strains and have negative responses. And mushrooms aren't for everybody. The psychedelics aren't psychedelic mushrooms aren't for everybody. But I guarantee you that there is a psychoactive plant, frog, or fungi out there for you. And I guarantee that there is a combination that will go with adaptogens, neurotropics, nutrition, and the psychoactives that will be your specific alchemy. And this is what I love doing as an integration coach, is helping you bring it all together. What do you need to be successful? What are those individual chemicals and habits that you need to stay accountable to be your best self, and like really break through? Because it's not easy being here in this life, on this planet, in this body, this flesh suit vehicle that we walk around in, or, being aliens on this organic spaceship through this dimension that, knowing that there's other ones out there as psychonauts. It's like, it's a very difficult thing to be human, but there are a lot of tools that are here to help us mitigate that, make it easier, make it entertaining, make it enjoyable, and also tap into that cosmic giggle, which breaks up the intensity of being human. So, there's a lot here. I could just keep going, but I got to keep going on this. Let's get as much covered as possible, because we're at 45 minutes already. Another thing with the nervous system and sleep, which was a topic here too, was coffee and stimulants. Let's touch on it quick because coffee is psychoactive. It's got a lot of benefits for a lot of people. That's why so many are addicted to it. But here's the thing, a lot of people are also sensitive to it. Some people are sensitive to it because of the caffeine itself, and that's not their psychoactive medicine. A lot of the time, the people who are most addicted to it are the ones with those sensitivities and are getting inflammation from it. Another reason why people are sensitive to coffee is because a lot of it is grown with pesticides and gets mold and all kinds of different things, which can trigger Lyme's disease, inflammation, other kinds of diseases. So, we really have to be careful when it comes to coffee, like every psychedelic, where it is that we're sourcing it from, how we're using it. Are we using it with intention, knowing what their benefits are? And I wrote an article for Psychedelic about this a long time ago. I think there's even a YouTube video on my channel about it too, setting intentions with coffee and other medicines. Because if you know what the benefits are, you can really use this to get the most out of it. And that's what we want, right? Use it as a tool, get the most out of it, work with it, understand the spirit of that, and have it guide us. My friend Judy, the cacao goddess, she always, because, how misused is chocolate, right? So misused. Nobody knows the history anymore. It's, even I add sugar and milk to it. And I understand the sacredity of it as best as I can right now. Obviously not good enough because I'm still mixing these other things in with it. But, there's tons of different things I'll mix into my cacao, but I am doing the intention and I am, sourcing as best as I can and all this. And she's a great person to source from. She even hosts retreats and, in some beautiful parts of the world where you are taking baths in cacao and all of that. And in my time in South America, I really did feel it for myself and get to be a part of that. But it's forgotten in this culture. And a lot of people don't understand the sacredity of this, beautiful thing. And what Judy always says is that the cacao spirits are always there over top of all of us and around all of us. And they're all just waiting for everybody who's working with chocolate or cacao to ask them for guidance and ask them for love and ask them for the clarity or whatever it is that's needed to get through our day. And because the spirits know that we need help, but they can't come in unless we allow it. So if we're working with these things, it's when it's not sourced well and when it's not used with intention, there's a block to those realms. And so the spirits are always waiting for us to ask. And they get so excited when we do, and they just can't wait to give. And this is why now, the goddess that she is, she's expanding into all these other areas, like becoming a wealthy witch and just being abundance and creating a frequency playground, like where we can play through life and have more fun and enjoy. And it's wonderful, and to support each other in this in a beautiful collective way. And this is what I'd like to see with all of the different medicines. Like coffee is one of those ones. And psychedelics can be broken down in a bunch of different categories. There are stimulants, there are also suppressants, there are also hallucinogenics. There are different categories. I'm going to be actually going through in the new year. I've got too much going on at this end of the year, but come the new year, I'm putting some time aside to go through and share the encyclopedia of psychoactive plants with you, which also includes some fungi. And it has a breakdown in it because I've already read through some of this. I like going cover by cover. I've read a few different encyclopedias. My very first one was on alternative medicines. So I got all the natural alternatives, the basics of all of them anyway. I did one on the 50 best foods and one on the 50 best herbs, different encyclopedias that I've done. But this one I'm very excited about, and I've already been diving in to do it cover to cover. But there was just too much great stuff that I had to share this one with you. So I've put a stop on that for now, and I'm going to pick it back up. And so we'll get into the specific breakdown of the different kind of psychedelics. But, this is where coffee fits, is as a stimulant. And there may be a type of stimulant for you that isn't coffee. And maybe for somebody it is coffee. But here's the trick with coffee is that you want to stop drinking it. Don't have another one after 2 o'clock. You may be able to go until 4, like if you made your last one at 2 and it takes you a little while to get through it, or, maybe you have a shot of something in that time. Hopefully, if you're at that point, you know that it's a problem and you're weaning yourself off. But the goal would be to stop at 2. That way you can have a decent sleep. Coffee is a great medicine. Okay, it really is, for the right person at the right time. So honor yourself and your own individuality on that, and be honest with yourself. Is it working for you? Is it hurting you? Is it working at all? Because if it's not working at all and just an addiction, or to stop an addiction, because those side effects coming off of coffee suck. I've done it many times. It sucks. The headaches, the body aches is a really, really bad addiction. And it doesn't happen until 24 hours after. It's 24 hours after the caffeine has left your body. That's why people wake up. Their cortisol is already high, because it's highest as soon as you wake up in the morning. Then instead of working out or hydrating or getting out in the sun, which is essential for human health and human optimization, they turn on the coffee pot and get a coffee, which then causes inflammation in the body, spikes up the cortisol even more, creates this whole ripple of issues for the day. So we have to be really cautious when it comes to coffee. I'm really happy that this has been brought up in conversations and as a topic to discuss on the show and as one of the questions here. But yeah, I think we should move on to. I got I think 8 minutes left. So let's see what else I can get here before I turn off for the day. Okay. There's still a lot more about mental health, things about antidepressants, about SSRIs, about coming off, about therapies and different things, and family karma and traumas, all that. But because I already talked about mental health, I think if you're falling into any of those categories, or you were the one asking those kinds of questions, either get on a call with me, because it may be a while before I sit down and do a private episode that's Q&A like this again, or email me, or get on my website and do a clarity call, or search in and see if I've already done a video or an article on those subjects already, and then get on a clarity call with me. But that would be the goal there, because I'm going to take these last minutes and talk about a totally different subject, which is just about the overweight American, because that was another thing that has kept coming up over the last couple months as I've been taking notes for this Q&A, because it takes me a while. Like sometimes I have a lot of guests coming in. So I don't, even though I like doing these, I haven't had the time always. So a lot of you guys were saying that you're either not happy with your weight, or that you're overweight, or that you're putting on weight or losing too much weight because of medications. Another thing was that you're worried about other people's weights, the weight of your children or the weight of your spouse. Another one was that the weight was causing pain in your body, inflammation in your body. And then also sciatic and back pain, chronic pain can get mixed up in here. And also food allergies and diet. So I'm going to, again, let's integrate it all, and we'll get into the specifics when you get on a call. So Dr. Mark Hyman, I want you guys to go look him up. He's great. He did a book called The Blood Sugar Solution. And in that book, the very first page, the dedication, it said that this book is written because this is the first generation where it's predicted that our kids will not outlive us. We have a huge mental health problem. The entire book is getting into that conspiracy of this mental health problem. Also, I encourage you guys to go take the sample course for IIN that's on my website, www.elementalgrowth.org, because in that sample class, you'll get to meet some of the teachers that I had that get into all this stuff. There's also an article on nutrition that I wrote on the website too that gets into a little bit of it, because it's such a deep and passionate subject for me. And unless I dedicated everything to go into a bullet, it would get too much for this. So I'm just going to stay specific to this resource. And it's because I've created things around this to make it really easy and actionable for you guys, but also because his work is so important. Coming from a doctor that's sharing this and his concerns and his passion and his solutions, it was so inspiring and life-changing for me. And that wasn't even my problem. It was that I wanted to help other people with that problem, because I saw that it was a big one in my family and with just everybody that was around. And my mom has the issue of being underweight, and my stepdad has an issue of being overweight. So like, I see the skinny fat, and I see the visual obesity. But what the problem is, and how Mark Hyman describes it, is that it's an epidemic of diabesity. And he shares all of the stats, all of that great scientific stuff that you guys want to eat up. So get into that. I also created an affirmation playlist so you guys can take even further action. I studied this work so much, not only by going to nutrition school and then all the other stuff that I've done beyond that, but I took Dr. Mark Hyman's work and I highlighted everything. And I got in so deep, and I created affirmations around everything that I found relevant that needed to be taken action on to help humans get it into their subconscious mind and also start taking action. So you'll want to go to my YouTube. That you won't find this on the Psychonauts YouTube. You want to go to Ashley at Elemental Growth, or type in Elemental Growth in the YouTube search bar. And one of my latest videos on there will have a pink background and a girl showing her stomach. And it is affirmations. It's not just for girls. Okay. This was a book written by guys. It's just a lot of my audience is women, because I'm a woman, but I also work with men and children. So it's all good. In this, these are the affirmations. You want to listen to this every day. Every day, listen to this. And you're gonna lose weight. You're gonna feel great. Things are gonna get easier. You might get pissed off, and damn, I hope you do, so that you do something about it, so that you do something about your health, and then go help somebody else. And share this. Share this video. Share the love. Share the light. I love you guys. Peace.